Hello and welcome to this instalment of Talkin Trim. I'm Jonathan Skinner and today we're looking at the boot trunk kits for the Jaguar E-Type Open Two-Seater Roadster models. Now this area of the car had some shared pieces that went all the way from the Series 1 3.8 up until the very last Series 3 5.3 litre models. Then other elements were individual to certain series and engine sizes. So this video here is going to detail all of those differences there. It's also going to detail elements of OEM specifications in terms of materials and colours versus a more bespoke custom feel. We happen to be doing a few kits at the moment where people have gone through a variety of things, and I thought this would be an ideal opportunity to do a video to kind of showcase what was original for the cars versus what you can upgrade to if you prefer, depending on the look and feel that you're going for with your restoration. So just bear that in mind. Worth checking out the description below. There might be some information in there of things I might have overlooked in this video as I kind of go off the top of my head with a lot of these bits and bobs in our video, so be sure to check that out. There'll also be useful links to our website of where to inquire about buying these items and the different options that we can offer, as well as other useful links to other videos that you might find useful if you're beginning your journeys of the restoration of your Jag E-Type Roadster, so be sure to check that out. And of course, be sure to check out the links to our blog handbook area of our website, which really does contain some useful articles on what sets us apart as a business in this classic car restoration market. Do not assume that other suppliers offer the same products and quality of workmanship. They might literally offer the same product in terms of name and what the material is called, but that's where the similarities end. You've got to think about pattern making experience, suitability to purpose, and overall the quality and workmanship and reputation that some of these companies hold in the world. We are at the high end of that spectrum and have been for almost 50 years now, so be sure to check that out. We're very proud of the way we do things, and we do them quite differently, and a lot of the articles in that blog handbook area really do go into details about that, so be sure to check that out. Anyway, let's dive on in. So, like I say, boot trunk kits, Series 1 to Series 3, E-Type Open Two-Seater Roadster. Now, originally, they were always in the biscuit colour, this sort of colour here. The boot trunk mat, the bit that went on the floor, this is consistent for the Series 1s up until the Series 3s. It did not change. So it's a PVC Hardura material, so it's got this sort of graining effect on the top of it there, but it's a very smooth finish, very easy to wipe down, and it has this grain on it to imitate kind of vinyl and leather. But it's a felt back plastic, so it has this natural jute felt backing on it, and this was a material that Jaguar commonly used during this era. They used it on the Jag XKs, they used it on the E-Type range and some of the saloon and sedan ranges as well. And also they used it in the cabin area on some of the Roadsters for the rear bulkhead behind the seats, etc. Pretty durable material and very effective for the boot trunk areas. It really does allow you to sort of wipe it down clean with oil stains, etc. So it's great for that element of things, but it's originally always in this biscuit colour here. No other, well, the odd car here and there might have been left with a random other colour, but as standard it was this biscuit sort of colour here. Edged all the way around, has the slots here for obviously the mechanism of the boot. Now just to show you what I'm talking about here, so this is the boot floor here with the mat on it. It used black press studs, which we can also supply as well, obviously. But yeah, you can see on the different ones here. Sorry, there's not many photos of boot trunks, but it's always this sort of biscuit beige colour here. So that was standard all the way from the Series 1 to Series 3s. You then have the boot sides. You get a pair of them. So this is the right-hand side. This is the left-hand side reversed. They are millboard panels. They're trimmed, again, in a biscuit material. We trim them in vinyl. However, just to show you, this has actually been trimmed in vinyl here. This one's actually been done in grained leather. So we do go to extreme lengths sometimes with some of our kits. People like to go for real upgrades on them. So if someone orders a full leather kit from us, obviously we're doing all the interior trim panels in leather, but we'll also do things like the boot side and boot back panels in leather where applicable. So that just kind of shows you the levels and depths that we go to. But standardly, they would be this millboard material, and they'd be trimmed in a biscuit-like colour. Now, it's worth noting as well, the Series 1 and 2, so Series 1 3.8 and the Series 1 4.2s, as well as the Series 1.5s and Series 2s, which were both 4.2 litres, they had a different boot side panel to the later Series 3 models. So this here with the cutout here is a Series 1 and Series 2, whereas this here is a Series 3. We are one of the only companies in the world that even acknowledge that difference there. Whether other companies are unaware of it or whether they just want to stock one version of it, as far as I'm aware, no one else bothers to acknowledge that change there, and I've seen plenty of photos with Series 3 showing this cutaway here. The difference, why that is the case, I believe Series 1 and 2s, it's all related to the wiring loom, and obviously the Series 3s, completely different chassis. It was based on the long wheelbase, the 2+2 version thing, so I imagine the wiring loom elements of those changed in those cars, and so they omitted it for some reason. I actually have a Series 3 Roadster, so I know this is exactly present and correct, that it does not have that cutaway there. So just bear that in mind. Series 1 and 2s were the only one that had that cutaway there, and like I say, I don't think many other companies bother to acknowledge that factor. But yeah, they're the boot side panels. You then get the boot back panel. Just to clarify, sorry, going back to the boot side, massive omission there. Obviously those bits there are where the hinges come down on the side of the boot trunk lid panel. Right, and now we're going to be looking at the boot back panel, as we refer to it. So it's the vertical panel at the back of the boot here, or rather front of the boot, I guess. If you're looking in, it's the sort of bulkhead of it. It's this piece here. Now, Series 1 3.8 only had a trimmed panel. So it's a millboard panel, and it had this cutaway here in the corner, which is for the boot trunk lid release, effectively what allowed you to release the lid upwards, which was on the other side in the main cockpit cabin area. You had the bulkhead. In fact, they are perfect. You can just see, there you are, that's the boot trunk release pull. So you pull that and it releases the boot trunk lid, and that's where that cable comes through. So the trimmed panel was only applicable to the Series 1 3.8s. All the other cars, so the Series 1 4.2s up until the Series 3 models, they switched to Hardura, and it was just glued into the car bodywork panel. It would still need that cutout, but we don't bother putting the cutout in it because it's just a rectangle. It gives you a lot more flexibility in the placement and gluing of that if you sort it in your car and then cut out what you need, because there's no bound edges on it. It's not needed, so we always offer flexibility on that. So Series 1 3.8 was a trimmed panel, whereas all the other ones was a loose piece of Hardura like that. There endeth the overview of the Series 1s up until the Series 3 boot trunk elements there. Just the final thing, just to show you, obviously I've touched on the fact that we can do any of the trimmed panels in obviously vinyl, which is the OEM spec, or leather as per this example here. We can also obviously do the boot trunk trimmed panel there for the earlier cars in leather if you prefer. And at the back here we've actually got an example. This is going in the Series 3, but this has been done in wool. So the main boot trunk mat has been done in wool. It's been done in our Palomino wool, so it's a nice complementary colour to the Biscuit anyway, so we've kept the colour pretty much the same. But then we've done the boot trunk mat in the wool. We've also done the boot trunk side panels trimmed in wool. They're ready to fit into the car. And then the boot bulkhead front panel there has also been made in wool there. So that's a nice upgrade there. So you can kind of upgrade to wool or leather where applicable. Obviously you're never going to use leather on the boot mat, but all other items could be made in leather. So yeah, nice bit of a overview of the originality elements of these cars, but also the upgrades that we can offer as a company there. So worth checking that out. Obviously all of our pricing is in our catalogue and on our website, so do check that out. I think that about covers it. May have mentioned this already, but obviously the boot mat was kept in place with black studs, which we can also offer. Boot sides tend to be the Ponzi screws and washers, which again we can also offer those as well. I'm not sure if I mentioned that earlier, so I'll just repeat it anyway. But yeah, that's the overview. Thanks for tuning in. Please remember to like, subscribe, share any comments below, and of course share with any classic car enthusiasts out there, or any other classic car enthusiasts out there. Be sure to check out our website and tune into our next video. I'll see you next time. Cheers.